Колеги, доброго ранку. Український
Dear colleagues, good morning. Ukraine Crisis Media Center is starting its work today, and our first topic is presentation of grotesque comedy about pseudo-communists. And I invite Yevheniy Morozov, Vis-à-vis theater stage director, Tamara Morozova, theater and film actress, Andriy Korzhenevskiy, leading actor of the play, Iulia Gapchuk and Yevhen Makluha, actors of the theater. I would like to start our briefing from the words, "Glory to Ukraine and glory to Jesus Christ." We will reproduce the event which has to provoke right thinking which will promote reconstruction of our society in right direction. 70 years of the Soviet past has played negative role. When for the first time I visited Europe in my childhood during Soviet era, I was very much surprised that people there had no fear. They were very liberal in their thoughts and in their wishes. Today, Europe has been developing in the way that even in case of any prohibitions and bans, people nevertheless have no fear, these people in Europe, they do not need revolutions to live happy lives, and our performance, our play will demonstrate, will clearly show how people are oppressed, how they are suppressed by the power, and how they are actually brought to a situation when they have to start revolution. That's why our main idea is to send this message. Let us live in peace every day, and let the people in power do not provoke its citizens for the revolution. Good morning. These people who are standing next to me have got courage to represent our work, which probably will provoke many people. For example, our performance was banned for showing in Kharkiv, even all the tickets were sold. We staged it by the play of Lashkovsky, drama which is called Nikolai Nikolaevich, and this is the performance which is aimed at showing how ordinary people, how the nation is zombified, and this is the play which is aimed at awakening the nation. This is a challenge to Putin, and we are, I think, the only theaters of today which strives to raise all these topics, I believe that against the background of so massive Russian propaganda against Ukraine, we have moral right to stage such performances like this. And today we are happy to invite you to visit our show. We invite all the journalists with cameras, and of course, this is not an ordinary performance. It is full of bad language, but this is to make the impression more stronger. And there were some people who wanted to prevent us from working here in Ukrainian house and from showing it here, but nevertheless we managed to stage a replay. Thank you very much. I'll do my best to speak Ukrainian, because during the latest period of time I realized how important it is to speak Ukrainian in Ukraine. Anti-communist work is extremely important. It has started, and it is far from its completion. The most important also is what's going on in our heads. Today's performance is like an exam for me personally. My grandmother was the only one family member who survived after the Great Famine. It was in Zhytomyr Oblast, Zhytomyr region, and my grandmother was only one out of four her sisters who survived in the Great Famine. The eldest sister was only 15 years old. That's why I felt enough courage to stand against this ideology. And when people tend to recollect that in Soviet times the sausages cost only 20 kopecks per kilo, sometimes they tend to forget that for producing that sausage, people in the villages had to work an entire day to earn enough money for buying that sausage, although they produced lots of sausages, working for nothing actually. Good morning. I believe that the figure of Yevheniy Morozov is not echoed in culture for in the scale which it deserves. His genius, he wrote in Russian, he lived in Moscow, and he wrote scripts for children's programs, movies, while his more deepest vision and thoughts were reflected in satire. And today's performance demonstrates that we do not wish to restore the Soviet times. We wish to prevent a situation when the youngest generation is deceived with the promise of better future. We should have better today than better future. Probably I should speak Ukrainian. I also try to speak Ukrainian, although I still think in Russian language. in my teenager years, in my adult years, I did not remember the Soviet Union, but I have confidence in my partners, in the stage director of our play, and preparing to this role, I learned much about the Soviet Union, about that so-called 13th wages, and I experienced this situation when all people had to behave like squirrels collecting food for the winter. Thank you very much for coming. For me, participation in this performance and as an actor of 15 years experience in the theater, and quite often I work on TV. And one day I heard the voice of stage director Yevheniy Morozov, and he asked me, "Do you remember me?" Yes, said I. We saw each other 30 years ago for the last time, and thus he invited me to participate in this performance. And this is the first experience for me of participating in this group company, and it's very interesting. Ukrainian theater remains under influence of the remnants of some ideas left or inherited of the Ukrainian past. It depends Ukrainian actors belonging to the theater, so it depends very much on the administration of the theater, of some ideas which govern this administration. And when working in this very project, I felt myself more free from that ideas. And by the way, the stage director's instructions were not easy to follow, because grotesque form requires a lot of pressure. On the other hand, I felt very happy. I felt joy working with all these people, and I felt myself unexpectedly free. Thank you very much for your presentation, and now we open Q&A session. The first is, how much time did it take to stage this performance, how the idea appeared, and how it was later developed jointly, or this was somebody's idea? Our stage director asked me to answer. This was he who initiated the staging of this grotesque, and it nevertheless it took some time to stage it, because Yusuf Oleshkovsky was genius, but he wrote this play before 1970, while we bring the action till nowadays, and that's why we had to supplement, to extend this play, and thus we were rewriting the play in course of rehearsals, and it took us around 7 or 8 months to produce this performance. And the next question, how do you think why it was banned for showing in Kharkiv in the last moment? our activities, I mean, vis-à-vis theater activities, has been lasting for 20 years, but actually we are traveling theater, and this time in Kharkiv, we faced a situation when the administration, the cultural administration of the city became scared whether it is the right time to show such a performance, but nevertheless, the warfare is already here. It is very close. It has been ranging for more than 18 months. I think that the ban on this performance in Kharkiv is rather serious sign. It's rather serious warning for other people. There was a huge announcement in the National Theater, Shevchenko Theater in Kharkiv, and all the tickets were sold already. And we changed the venue. We decided to show it in another venue. And nevertheless, the call came from the city administration saying that the performance is not allowed in Kharkiv, and we had to quit. I would like to add a couple of words about the ban to show it. In our play, we demonstrate the actions of all Soviet leaders from 1950s until today's Russia, and people can see that nothing changed. Putin, with the slogan "Crimea is ours," and we simply think that we have to fight. This is our war. It's our cultural war. The warfare doesn't finish in Lugansk, Donetsk, or even in Moscow. When the Kremlin will go, even when today's administration in Kremlin will go nowhere, the ideological fight will still continue. Actually, the communist ideology is very close to the Hitlerism. 7 members of my family were shooted in Stalin's times, and my mother's family in Cherkasy Oblast experienced great famine. After Maidan, after all these events, the journalists, the theater should work in one direction and fight against communist ideology. I believe that Ukraine can become a very successful country. We have very talented people, and these people live around the entire world. Very soon we will have Christmas holidays and New Year performances, and Du Soleil company will arrive. Having visited this group of artists, I realized that up to 80% in Du Soleil company of actors are of Ukrainian origin. I wish Ukraine to live without any bans for its development. Actually, this is our war. Dear journalists, do you have any further questions? Well, no. Since no questions, then one question from me. What are your plans for the future? Whether you plan to bring this performance, to show it somewhere except Kiev, in the pre-hostility area. I would like to go to Russia with this performance. I was born in Russia, near Volga, and my wife is Ukrainian and my daughter is Ukrainian. We have reached agreement with Lviv, with Ivano-Frankivsk. Of course, we would like to go to Lugansk, and we are not scared to go there. We are not afraid, and we would be happy to go there. Since there are no further questions, let us finish our today's press conference.